So how many of you have experienced before being in the labor room? Experience being in the labor room. Yeah, same here. Obviously, we have 2 kids, and our son was about to come. It was amazing. And we had to go through, some of you are going to think this is wimpy, others are going to be like, man, that's a long time. But he was from 8 at night till 10 at night until 8:30 in the morning. 10 and a half hours of labor, right? And you're waiting, and it's the whole night. It's like, kid, would you just come out? Finally, Josiah Christopher pops out. And I'm so excited to share the news with other people. So I call my best friend, and I call him, and I'm like, 7 pounds, 11 ounces, dude. And I said it again, 7 pounds, 11 ounces. And the other person, I'm like, who's this? And I was like, 7 pounds, 11 ounces. Like, I don't know you, but congratulations anyway. So I was probably so tired that I got the wrong number when I dialed it, right? But I was so excited to share good news. Have you ever been there where you were excited to share good news? Please raise your hand. I hope at least once in your life you've been excited to share good news. Come on. How many of you can keep a secret? Few of you can keep a secret. It's like you should have shared this information 3 years ago with your spouse and they still don't know. How many of you are bad at keeping secrets? You're like, when I'm excited, I just can't keep it in. I can't lie. People see my face. My face doesn't lie. All of that. You know, one of the reasons I think it's so exciting to share good news is because life can be so difficult. Good news isn't always the norm. Actually, even when life isn't difficult, life can kind of seem average. And so when good news comes along, it can be really exciting for us. It can be so refreshing. Speaking of good news, could you imagine how excited God was to reveal Jesus to the world? He had waited a long time. Now, I know in his timing, it's like snap and he's there, right? But human-wise, he had waited a long time to share this story and to reveal who Jesus was. And he was about to go to great lengths to be able to reveal to the world, hey, he's hope. Here's your hope. If you're looking for hope, look no further than this guy, my son, Jesus. Have you ever thought about this? How would God announce Jesus' birth today? Would he get on Facebook Live and say, hey guys, it's God. Here's my son Jesus. Mary and Joseph, say hi. Look into the camera. Would he put it on Insta? Would he put it on Twitter? Would he text you a picture of Jesus? Say, here you go. Here's your hope from God, right? Would he call you and have that automated message? Hey, if you'd like to know about the announcement of Jesus' birth, press 1 if you'd like to hear it in angelic voices. Press 2 if you want to hear from Gabriel himself. Press 3 if you want to hear from me, right? How would he do it today? It's interesting, but based on how God announced it back then, you might be surprised at how he would announce it today. So let's listen in to discover how God decided to announce this big reveal. You can follow along on the screen. Pastor Julian already asked you to get your phones out. We're being serious. We're going to go on a digital missions trip during this service, so have your phones out. You can get your paper Bible, whatever most comfortable for you, but let's look at Luke 2 together. It says this, there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby. It was night, and they were taking care of the sheep. An angel of the Lord appeared to them. Do not be afraid. I bring you good news. It will bring great joy for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. Now, could you imagine? It's at night. You're walking, you're jogging, maybe you're working, and poof, an angel is right before you. Well, how cool would that be? It'd be really, really cool. But back to the story. Because I'm going to share a little context with you about God's announcement. Back to this story. So God, let me get this straight. You decide to have this big reveal that humans have been waiting a long time for, and you decide to do it through shepherds. Here's a little context about shepherds. They were despised. They were lowly people. You'd think this was a crazy idea that God would do this. You'd think that God would decide to tell people in positions of leadership or in some type of prominent role, but he decides to tell shepherds. Now, I don't know if you've ever been what I'm about to share, if you've ever felt this way, but every once in a while, when my heart is right, I feel very fortunate to have lived during this time period, born within my family, to be able to hear the story of Jesus. I could have been born into any family. I could have been born into any time period. And God decided to drop me into a time period, into a family that would hear about Jesus and then share the story with me. I'm so thankful that someone came into my mom's life when I was 4 and told her what it meant and what the Jesus story meant. I'm so thankful. I feel so fortunate that when I was 8, my mom shared that same story with me. I wonder if the shepherds felt that way. Man, we're pretty lowly people, but he decided to share the story with us. Can I tell you, I hope you feel the same way today, because you have the freedom to be in this room and hear this exact same story. But it's up to you what you do with it. The angels kept sharing for a little bit the announcement of Jesus, and then they go back into heaven. So let's listen in as the story continues. In Luke 2, it says this: Then the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem. Let's see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off. Notice that they hurried off. It's like they dropped everything and found Mary and Joseph and the baby. The baby was lying in the manger. Now I'm going to tell you, just in case an angel ever pops into your life, you might need that, right? If he pops into your life someday, you might want to do what they say, right? And so that's what it's like, God, if you took the time to have your angels who are warring for heaven right now to come speak to me about something, I should probably have a good response to this, right? And so that's what they do. They're like, we've got to go check this out. We've got to go see what all the fuss is about. Who is this Jesus? Let's see what their response is after they met Jesus. Luke 2. After the shepherds had seen him, you might want to circle this or underline this in your phone. They told everyone. They told everyone. They reported what the angel had said about this child. All who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. You know, it was weird enough that God decided to share this story with shepherds. I already shared that they were lowly, they were despised, but here's a little bit more context about shepherds. I've heard this before, that shepherds in that culture weren't even trusted over legal matters. God, what are you doing? It's like, what? Lowly, despised people, they're not even trusted in legal matters. What are you doing? Is there not anybody else that you could have chosen? How about Bethlehem's greatest movie star? You could have chosen them. How about Bethlehem's wealthiest people? How about the top-ranked person on the Bethlehem Chargers? Bethlehem Chargers were a thing. You know why? They move around. Yeah, you got it. Anyways, God, you couldn't think of anyone else besides shepherds? So maybe you don't want to admit this, and it's okay if you don't, but how many of you, when you were in school and you were going to play kickball or football or dodgeball or anything with a ball, and you were scared, I'm going to get picked last? Anybody want to admit that in the room? Okay, we'll pray for you right now. We know you're hurting still. How many of you were the captain and you didn't want to pick them? Raise your hand. Go say I'm sorry and give them a hug right now. They need it, okay? So was God picking shepherds some kind of pity move? Like, you know what? You usually don't get picked. You picked last, so I'm gonna choose to use you this time. It was either that or maybe, just maybe, God chooses to use unqualified people. Just like you and me. Jesus did the same thing. Look at who he surrounded himself with. Tax collectors, very despised people. Fishermen, talk about lowest on the totem pole. Jesus did the same thing as his Father. And see, this is great news for you and I, because we often think to ourselves, how can God use someone like me? I don't come from the best family. I'm broke. I don't always get it. I'm not talented enough. I doubt way too much. There's too many skeletons in my closet. See, we do the same thing. But if you feel this way, please know you're in great company, because that's who God uses. Unqualified people. All the time. And guess what? You're plan A. You're not plan Z. You're not the last on the team. Okay, you're the only one left alive. I'll pick you. Thanks for stepping up to the team. You're plan A. Instead of telling yourself that God can't use me, why don't you start asking him, God, how do you want to use me? In fact, some of you need to write that down or type that into your phone, so I'll say it again. Instead of telling myself that God can't use me, ask him how he wants to use me. He has a purpose for you, and it's far bigger than you can imagine. If you're a Christ follower, have you ever thought about the reason that once you accept Jesus, that God doesn't just take you like that? Well, first of all, it'd be kind of freaky. Like, I just accept Jesus. Oh, heart attack, died, right? It's like, I am never coming to Christ. Never, ever, ever. I don't want to die, right? But think about it for a moment. It's interesting why God doesn't do that. Here's why. In heaven, you're going to be able to hang out with God perfectly. Shocker. Your crazy cousin Eddie or your crazy uncle, you're going to be able to hang out with them perfectly too. I know. Some of you, you're going to be able to hang out with your mother-in-law perfectly. Like, okay, Jesus, take us now, please, right? We're going to be able to, we're not going to have to face the temptation of sin. We're not going to have to wake up to another day of seeing evil out there. It is going to be perfect and it's going to be amazing. So why does God not take us now? Because he needs you to share the story. He needs you to share his hope. Will you share his hope? How many of you like some type of sport? It doesn't even need to be mainstream. You better raise your hand. Your wife will raise it for you if you don't. Yeah, all of us to some degree probably like some type of sport out there or video games or something. Why do we like them? Because they're competitive. We have the chance to win. We have the chance to be the best. See, I love sports. I especially love football, but can I tell you, I love it. I'm not putting it down at all. But people give their lives to these things for a trophy that's temporary. And unless you're the New England Patriots, the next year you're not even going to get that trophy because someone else is going to win it and say, I'm the best. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's temporary. Guys, why do we do it? Why has God asked us to be the ones to share his hope with others? Why do we do it? Because we're competing for their very lives. It's serious. And this is not temporary, it's eternal. Speaking of competition, I love it. We're going to play a game. And this is true, so you better get ready. This is not a joke. Ask first service. Taped to one of the seats. Don't cheat. Someone tried to cheat at first. I was like, how can you cheat in church, right? Do not look yet. But taped under someone's seat is a $25 gift card to the AMC movie theater, just in case you haven't seen Star Wars yet. Because we have to represent, right? So, on the count of 3, look under your seat, and if it's not under your seat, it might be somewhere else. So on the count of 3, look. Ready? 1, 2. Maybe I'll just go on with my message for a moment. No, I'm teasing. 1, 2, 3. Go. Look. Look. Look under the seats. Someone has it. Keep looking. Come on now, people. Oh, someone found it. Give it up for Jennifer. All of you are clapping but jealous inside, I know. It's like, why didn't I sit there? Could you imagine what the scene would be like if I said, guys, I'm serious right now. There's $1 million taped under your seats. The vibe from the meet and greet would go away. It's like, I'm not as nice as you think I am. Get out of my way. Right? Guys, why would that be the case? $1 million has a lot of value. And so there'd be a lot of urgency on our part, wouldn't there? Guys, the mission of God is so urgent. It's so urgent. People need hope, and ultimately, people's eternities are on the line. That's why he has directed all Christ followers to share his story, because he knows that you can make a big, huge difference, even if you just think it's little old me. But I know that deep down, every single one of us, even if we have to struggle with insecurities and doubt, every single one of us want to make a difference with our lives and other people. He can help you do that. And speaking of making a difference, he can help you even this week. We have our Christmas Eve service coming on Tuesday at 4 p.m. And so if you want to get out your phones right now. Like Pastor Julian said, just everybody get out your phones. We're going to go on a 5-minute digital missions trip together. Okay? But he can use you this week. Maybe you offer to pick up your friend. Maybe you offer to meet them at the patio door. You bring them with you, because here's why. Nobody likes to go into church alone. Do you remember when you had to step in alone? It's like, what are they going to do here? Are they weird? What does the pastor look like? There's just so many questions we have going on in our minds when it's the first time. So bring them with you or offer to meet them at the door. But maybe you could give them a text invite. So again, if you have your phones out, there's going to be a slide on the screen right now about texting hope. So if you want to put that slide up, it's about texting hope. I'll give you the number just in case it doesn't get up there. There we go. So just the same number as the welcome. Text the capital H, make sure to put the capital in there. Text hope to that number. What's going to be texted back to you is a link. When you press on the link, it's going to be a copy of our electronic invite. So you'll have a copy of that electronic invite if you click on the link when it comes back to you, and then obviously save it to your phone. Now again, guys, this is such a huge moment. I want you to be Holy Spirit led in this moment. I want you to scroll through your directory, your phone directory, and ask God, who needs an invite? Who on my phone list, whether it's a family member, a friend, a coworker, who on my list needs an invite? Who needs hope? Now, this is just a guide. You can say whatever you want to say, but some of you might think, I really don't know what to say. So here up on the screen, you might say something like this, okay? And you might, instead of writing it down, you might want to take a photo so you'll remember it for later. But again, it's just a guide. You say what you want. But you're like, hey, how's it going? My church is having a Christmas Eve celebration service on Tuesday at 4 p.m., and I thought of you. Would you like to come with me? It will last less than an hour. I'm willing to come pick you up if you need it. It could be that simple as you're texting someone. So keep looking through your phone list. God, is there anyone on my list that needs hope? Next thing is maybe you could send someone a FB message to our link for our Facebook Christmas event. We actually have a page up. You can just go to Obi-Wan Church's Facebook page, and on there you will see an invite to our Christmas Eve service. So you might do the same thing and go through your friends right now and say, hey, God, which of my friends can I send a personal message to that need the hope of Jesus this Christmas? And then you might say something like this, if you want to put up the next slide. Hey, same kind of, and then at the end it says, if you'd like to come, sign up for the event and message me back with a thumbs up. That way you'll know that they got it and they're coming. I'm willing to meet you outside the church so that we can walk in together if that would be helpful. And so you might personalize it and say, Lord, what friends on my Facebook feed need a personal message from me? Or maybe you decide to go general. You just do a general Facebook post to all of your friends on Facebook. You share our Christmas event page link and put it on your general post. And maybe you say something simple like this. Next slide. Are you looking for a fun place to celebrate on Christmas Eve? And here's what's important. Hang out with me. Make it personal. Hang out with me at Obi-Wan Church at 4 p.m. for our Christmas Eve service. Or maybe, as you were looking at your friends or scrolling through your list, God just nudged you a little bit more than digital. And he said, I want you to have a phone conversation with them. Or I want you to have a face-to-face with them in the next couple days. And again, this is just a guide to help you. But maybe you could say something like this in your conversation. Hey, I don't know what you're doing for Christmas Eve, but I wanted to invite you to a place that I hang out at and belong to that gives me hope on a consistent basis. Guys, everyone needs hope. Everyone needs hope. So as you keep looking through your list, your directory, your friends, just be asking God, guys, this is a big deal. Here's what I know. Just like the shepherds, God wants to use you to share his hope with others. I'm confident of that. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be saying it. I wouldn't be up here. He wants to use you. So I ask again, like I did earlier and like Pastor Julian did during service hosting, who will find the hope of Jesus because you decided to bring them with you on Christmas? And just so you know, this isn't a Christmas thing. This is a lifestyle that God has asked us to have, to bring hope and share his hope with others because you're the fortunate ones. You've heard the story, and you are fortunate enough that God said, I love them so much that I'm going to put them in a family, or I'm going to put them at a place, or I'm going to position a friend in a certain way so that they will hear the story of hope. And then guess what? You accepted. And now it's your opportunity, your amazing opportunity to return the favor so that someone else someday can say, you know what, I'm so fortunate because someone loved me enough. I was without hope. I saw this general Facebook post and I didn't know what to do. I was like, heck yeah, my last shot. where I was just drowning in hopelessness. And a friend of mine said that they thought of me and invited me to Christmas Eve, or invited to share with me the hope of Jesus, whatever the context is. We have the opportunity to make a huge difference. It's so important. You can make a difference. And before I pray, I wanted to share this quote from the author of McLaren's Expositions when talking about Luke 2:8, because it's so powerful. Listen in. If the spectators of the cradle could not be silent, how impossible it ought to be for the witnesses of the cross to lock their lips. Guys, if you're a Christ follower in here, you're a witness of the cross. And I'm going to say that one more time just in case you want to write that down. If the spectators of the cradle could not be silent, how impossible it ought to be for the witnesses of the cross to lock their lips. We have such a great opportunity to share Jesus' hope with so many different people. Let's not be the church that locks our lips. Let's proudly, I'm not saying jerky, I'm not saying manipulative, but proudly and boldly share his hope with other people. Let's pray. You know, as the team